5 years ago marked the end of the Great War with the Empire Nilfgaard, and the death of the legendary Witcher Geralt of Rivia. But this is video games, so retcon that, Geralt's alive and he's running through the woods. All tuckered out, our boy goes down, but his fellow Wolf School Witchers had some good looking out. Lucky for Geralt, his little midnight frolic had taken place near Kaer Morhen, the Witcher's home base. Post up for some R&R, Geralt hooks up with Triss Merigold, who's excited to hear all about what her old friend's been doing, until Geralt shuts her down saying he doesn't remember anything from his past life. But right when things start getting good, a bunch of filthy peasants raid the keep and kill the mood. In between incinerating plebeians, Triss manages to catch a glimpse of the leaders of the attack. Some Harry Potter looking dork named the Professor, and the angriest Hawaiian I've ever seen. The two had used the battle as a distraction to roll dirty to the basement and snag up all the secrets to the Witcher's mutagens. The resident FNG Little Leo tries to shoot back, but he ends up getting put down. The remaining Witchers pour one out, split up, and go on the hunt, ready to track down the men who attacked them and reclaim their secrets. Geralt locks down the south, heading to the city of Vizima and Temeria. Immediately upon reaching the outskirts, he already knows he's in for a treat. Demon dogs are eating people out in the middle of the street, and that rhymes. Geralt catches the young boy Alvin, barely escaping a pack by the skin of his teeth, and suddenly this kid starts floating around glowing, talking about the Ice Age or something. This was cool and all, but Geralt really didn't give a shit at that point. He was busy trying to track down the group that he now knew as Salamandra. Scoping out the area, Geralt hooks up with some of his legacy buds. Shani,
don't you recognize me? Whatever happened to you?
And the dwarf Zoltan Chive.
True to a Witcher. Died, came back to life. Nobody's seen him for 5 years, and he wants to know if something's wrong.
Geralt, of course, having no idea who they are, takes their word for it and pals around with them. Ending up the errand boy for the bigwigs in the outskirts community, Geralt manages to scrape together that he was preceded by another Witcher named Berengar, also seeking Salamandra, but nobody's seen or heard from him since Geralt got into town. With the dirty work of half the village under his belt, Geralt's assigned one final task: finding the source of the Hellhounds. Being told to start with the witch Abigail, because witches must be evil, Geralt works with her to possess the small boy Alvin with a demon, who's gonna tell him where the Hellhounds come from. It's a great idea. They deduce at this point that the creatures are created by the malice of the very people Geralt's been working for. Finally given the location of the Salamander hideout, our boy rolls out to make some waves. Mid-ass-kicking session, he's given the surprise of learning that most of the locals had been working with Salamandra all along, and also that the pissed-off Hawaiian from Kaer Morhen was actually named Azar Javed.
Who's Azar Javed?
A powerful mage. You're no match for him.
Ready to pack it up, he runs into Abigail on his way out. The townspeople were rousing for a classic witch hunt. Post up just outside. Geralt is then given the option to serve her up or protect her from the angry mob. Either way, scoring himself a pass into the city of Vizima. But on his way in, his chops get busted by some Myron scrub and shipped off to prison.
Abso-fucking-lutely beautiful.
Not about to just stand around, Geralt bargains to hunt the cockatrice in the city sewer in exchange for his freedom. Knee-deep in shit, he bumps into Siegfried, a knight of the Order of the Flaming Rose. The Order was a group dedicated to protecting the citizens of Temeria, even hunting monsters for them, an act that threatened putting the Witchers out of their job. The two squad up and take down the cockatrice, getting out of the sewer ASAP. Now in the beautiful plague-ridden city streets, Geralt makes a stop at the House of Raymond, collar-popping bad boy and detective extraordinaire. He racks up a list of names, whose personal space he believes Geralt should invade. And invade he does. Eventually excusing Vivaldi, the dwarven bank owner who doesn't own his bank, Taller, the shady fence who's actually Temerian secret intelligence, Guard Captain Vincent, who's investigating Salamandra just as hard, and the merchant Levarden, who actually invites Geralt to his anti-Salamander secret society, leaving only the too obvious crime lord Ramsmeet and the turbo nerd Kalkstein. Doing a little extra credit though reveals that Javed's been bending you over a barrel, murdering and disguising himself as Raymond halfway through your investigation, and the only way to repay somebody when they do you dirty is to give it back twice as hard. But as everyone knows, even amidst life-threatening chaos, there's always time to get fucked up with your bros. Shawnee reuniting Geralt with who used to be his best friend, Dandelion the Bard. Although just a brief respite, Dandelion shares stories from Geralt's past and helps rekindle his search for his former identity. Collaborating with his former suspects, Geralt devises a plan to lead Javed to the magic tower in the nearby swamp, where his fire magic will be useless. But while preparing, Geralt's caught between the skirmishes of Knights of the Order and Scoia'tael, anti-human freedom fighters. Geralt can choose a side or ignore the conflict, but refocuses on Javed once it's resolved. Finally ready for a throwdown at the tower, Javed goes full bitch mode, crying at Harry Potter for some backup. Even 2v1, Geralt gives him an extra spicy dicking. But of course, a pervert like HP's always got some chloroform on deck, knocking out Geralt long enough for the two to escape. Fuck. Geralt wakes up to a half-naked Triss Merigold. Much worse shit could have happened. After stretching his legs a little bit, Triss informs Geralt that the two have been invited by Luvarden to a social at the inn, and that she's been detecting some weird magical anomalies within the city, and she'd like Geralt's help in finding the source. After establishing a triangulation field for Triss, Geralt shows up down to party. He rubs elbows with the 1%, and even gets to meet Princess Ada, whom he cured the curse of the Striga on years ago. She says a bunch of words to him, but then they fuck, so Geralt forgives her. Eventually meeting with Luvarden himself, he tasks Geralt with destroying Salamandra's drug network, their primary source of income. Geralt's super hyped to get his DEA on, but gets his flow jacked by a disgusting street urchin.
Master Richard!
What, boy?
The bank's been robbed! Master Velerad said we should fetch a Witcher!
Apparently shit hit the fan over at the bank, with Scoia'tael held up inside. With everybody loving to get the Witcher in their business, Geralt can decide if he wants to help the Order slaughter the non-humans, or assist in the Scoia'tael's escape. Now free to bring down the hammer on crackhead degenerates across the land, Geralt destroys drug operations one by one. As he's clearing out the final batch of salamanders, however, he witnesses them communicating through a Hartman's mirror. Geralt then claims the mirror's power source, and catches a glimpse of who the salamanders were speaking with as he exits the area. Back in the street, he watches as a werewolf tears the remaining salamandra apart. After the slaughter, he's approached by the beast, who claims to be Guard Captain Vincent. Geralt then has the opportunity to attack Vincent, but if you don't think having a werewolf for a bro is the tightest shit, then you can get out of my face. Returning to Luvarden and Triss, Geralt hands over the mirror's power source. Triss discerns she'll most likely be able to open up a portal into a Salamandra base using the stone. But in the meantime, Geralt should gather allies to assist him in the assault, leaving, once again, the choice between the Order and the Scoia'tael. Before he leaves, Triss also tells Geralt she's located the source of the anomaly, the young boy Alvin who's entered the city of Vizima. Alvin was in the care of Shawnee, but she wouldn't hand him over to Triss, most likely because she knew Geralt was macking on that. But she doesn't have much of a choice, as Alvin's kidnapped by Salamandra right before Geralt shows up. Only with Dandelion's help, Geralt finds the boy, and it marks the beginning of the Great Waifu War. Geralt is then given the chance to bring Alvin back to either Shawnee or Triss, marking them as his waifu for the rest of the game. With his bro selected and matters resolved, Geralt is then ready to attack the Salamandra. Geralt goes balls deep into the underground base, with Javed, once again true to form, running like a bitch. The professor, not so lucky this time, is forced to stand and fight. With little effort, he sends Harry Potter to hell to meet his parents, and finds a note on his corpse incriminating Princess Ada as the primary collaborator with Salamandra, looking to stage a coup in her father's absence. Chased from the caves by a pissed-off Queen Kikamor, Geralt ends up in the city's dike, where he's surrounded by Princess Ada and her men. Resigned to his fate, Triss's intervention saves Geralt once again as she teleports him away. Geralt's magical one-way trip sends him way out into the boonies, near the small town of Murky Waters. Hiking into town, he's received by none other than Dandelion. Dandelion speaks as a messenger for Triss, and explains that the two of them had been sent to Murky Waters to look after Alvin, who along with Triss was attacked while Geralt was away, and in a panic used his powers to teleport to a random location, that place being Murky Waters. Triss even sending a Diamidium amulet with Dandelion that would suppress Alvin's magical powers while she wasn't around. Wanting to keep busy, and more importantly get paid, Geralt gets himself caught up in local affairs, most of which revolved around the girl Alina and her upcoming marriage to the merchant Julian from Kovir. But like with all good love stories, it ends with everybody killing each other. Alina's murdered by her jealous sister Selena, who is then in turn murdered by Adam, the man who loved Alina but wasn't gonna be her husband, and all you really gotta know is they turned into ghosts. And Julian, the world's ugliest man and Alina's fiancé, wants Geralt to do whatever he can to free the girl's soul. With Dandelion's aid, he helps the spirits move on, earning Julian's thanks, who's secretly probably really happy all this shit happened before he married into it. With their one cause for joy thoroughly stamped out, Geralt decides to help the town with the one other thing he can. The townspeople and the Voidianoi along the coast haven't been getting along, and apparently the village had already hired somebody to deal with this, but with no results. Investigating these rumors, Geralt comes across a ghost, the Witcher who's been one step ahead of him since the outskirts, Berengar. Berengar admits that he was the one that was supposed to resolve the conflict, but had no interest in completing the task. And when questioned about his association with Salamandra, all he admits is that he was forced to participate in their experiments. Geralt figures if he's just gonna act like a buster, he'll just leave him be, and leaves to meet the Lady of the Lake, a respected Voidianoi leader. The lady claims she's not down with any of the violence going on, and in fact, it's the sea monster Dagon, leading the Voidianoi to attack the people of the town. Geralt then fronts straight to Dagon's altar, and props him for showing up, but he still got his ass kicked. While departing, Berengar had tracked Geralt down. His guilty conscience finally getting the better of him, he divulged that he was the one who sold out Kaer Morhen and Alvin, and pretty much caused all the trouble for Geralt throughout the entire game. Hating his fate as an outcast and a mutant, Berengar had done all this in hopes that Salamandra could reverse the process of being a Witcher. Geralt can choose to show a little mercy and understanding, or hit him with a little slap and tickle before leaving the island. Returning to the mainland, Dandelion becomes the bearer of bad news, telling Geralt that local Scoia'tael have taken over Murky Waters and are holding Alvin there as a hostage. With Order forces approaching and the town about to become a battleground, Geralt is given the opportunity to join either side or remain neutral and just try to get his friends out alive. Whichever side's taken, Alvin loses his shit once again, teleporting himself out of there, even through the deterrence of his amulet. With no trace of the boy left to follow, Geralt and Dandelion bounce out of there, heading by boat back to Vizima. You leave for 5 minutes and Grandma falls asleep smoking in bed again. But to be fair, the fires are the least of Vizima's problems right now. All-out war has broken out between the Scoia'tael and the Order of the Flaming Rose. King Foltest is back on the scene, however, and he's down to grind booty on both sides for making a battleground of his city. Chancing by Geralt as he enters the city, Foltest brings him back to the castle to post up and discuss a proposition with him. Well, maybe a little less proposition, maybe a little more, do what I say, I'm the king. Foltest confides that Ada has relapsed into her curse, becoming a Striga once again, and he wants Geralt to fix her stupid bullshit, even if that means killing her. Geralt promptly re-enters the city and begins his search. His first stop, a combat clinic established by Shani. While still objectively a garbage tier waifu, her clinic treats victims from both sides of the war, so I guess she has that going for her. But this also has the more aggressive of both sides, shooting flames straight at her clinic. Geralt hooks her up with a freebie, then heads to the nearby swamp cemetery just outside the wall, continuing his search for Ada. Upon entering the mire, Geralt has his first encounter with the Grand Master of the Order of the Flaming Rose, Jackie Alderberg. Jackie don't want no trouble, and the two part ways, but not before imparting the impression of being a huge creep. Finally arriving at the crypt where Ada's holed up, surrounded by grown men who are apparently too afraid to go in after her, Geralt makes his move, killing her on the spot or occupying her until morning to re-break the curse. Geralt solves the problem of Foltest's Striga for the time being, and the king shows his appreciation by divulging the location of the Salamandra headquarters, an old manor in those very swamps. Geralt drops bombs, breaking his way to the heart of the mansion, and with nowhere else for him to run, finally gets the chance to fight and kill Azar Javed. But before leaving, Geralt's confronted by a familiar image on the Hartman's mirror in Javed's lab. The Grand Master of the Order of the Flaming Rose himself. The Order and Salamandra had been in bed since the very beginning, with Javed directly corresponding with the Grand Master. Upon his return, Geralt relays what he's learned to the king. Hearing what he has to say, Foltest offers Geralt $8,000 of legal tender to bring him the head of the Grand Master. Getting money's all Geralt ever knew, so he makes one final push to the Order headquarters and confronts Jackie. Jackie fears the Dick, so he starts trying to explain his motives to Geralt. That as a powerful mage, he has had visions of Ithlinne's prophecy, an apocalypse known as the Great White Frost, with the entire world freezing over, even pulling Geralt into his vision with him. He had been using Salamandra to breed an army of super soldiers, akin to Witchers but lacking free will or morals. He had planned to use these soldiers to shepherd the people south to safety when the cold hit, but Jackie was naive to think he could escape the Dig. Disagreeing with Jackie's ends justify the means mentality, and sick of his Disneyland nightmare bullshit, Geralt unleashes a hot load of justice upon the Grand Master. Before they can finish their battle though, the King of the Wild Hunt in the form of an apparition appears. The Spectre claims that he and Geralt have history together, and that he desires to take Jackie's soul. Geralt can comply with this request, or he can take on the king himself and remind him why not only man must fear the Dig. Delivering the final blow to Jackie himself, Geralt finally awakes from the illusion, with Dandelion there waiting for him. The two collect themselves from the ordeal they've just went through, and while this is never confirmed, Geralt finds a Diamidium amulet, the exact same as the one he gave to Alvin, but older and worn, on the body of the Grand Master. And the Grand Master's morals change based on the things that Geralt teaches Alvin earlier in the game, leading many to believe that Alvin had teleported into the past and grown into the Grand Master of the Order of the Flaming Rose. The two flatter the thought, but agree that they'll probably just never know.
You're exaggerating again. Something ends, something begins. I'll take the last of the stolen secrets, take a deep breath, and move on.
Psyched to be finished with this game's shitty combat system, Geralt snags his dinero from the king and hits the road, but on his way out realizes something ain't right. Some sperm burglar had broken into the palace and was looking to get at the king. Geralt yells at him to assert his dominance, then cuts his arm off. Fuck yeah. The two pull back the assassin's mask to get a look at his pretty face, and boom, there's 30 hours of your life gone. This leads Galanth to do the logical thing, and completely flips her shit. His 7-year dead incest baby has risen from the grave as a monster, and how's that for a hook?